Hey guys, welcome to my channel Emerging World Order 2025. Today I want to talk to you about Africa. Something about Africa that will change the whole entire Africa trade. And not only that, actually, this is gonna move Africa away from the dollar. Not not slowly, but rapidly. Not in 5 years, not in 10 years, not in 20 years, not that. No. It's gonna move Africa away from dollar and it will make Africa's economy more and more independent. That is starting now, today. Okay. See, for decades, Africa's business had no choice, right? But to route the cross border trade or cross border payments through US dollar or euro, like lots of African countries had the uh, euro as their currency, or some had franc as their currency, like Senegal and all that, right? So, but all that has changed over the period of time, right? So, because of the use of dollar or euro, it simply meant that even if African countries want to trade among each other, right, that means that extra cost, delays, and billions of dollars basically drained from Africa's economies. Now, considering that the entire Africa's GDP, entire African Union, that is like 54 countries combined, their GDP is $3.2 trillion dollars. So, which is not very big GDP if you ask me. Europe's European Union's GDP is I believe it is $20 trillion. Okay, so and they have only 28 countries. So compared to that, I mean Africa is way behind, right? And that's because European Union's GDP is that high because Africa helped them. Africa helped them keep up with their GDP because African natural resources help them cut the cost. Now, after the because Africa was dependent on dollar and euro a lot for payments and whatnot. So there was lots and lots of they were losing dollar, they had to pay billions and billions of dollars. So even Africa pays 1 billion or 2 billion dollars per year in because of all that. That's a lot of money for African economy, right? But now things have changed, as we know that like Senegal has officially kicked out France from their country. Then Sudan is the same way. Burkina Faso is the same way. Then there are other countries too that are working towards it, right? To get the Western countries or the colonizers out of their country. So, and because that happened, so Africa had to work to develop their own economy. They had to work to develop their uh, trade. How they are going to do it without the Western currency, right? How they're going to do all that. So they have developed a tool. Okay, they have developed a payment system that doesn't even exist in, say, even in the BRICS countries. Okay, that tool is called Pan African Currency Market. Now, how all that works, how this works, I will talk about that in this video, in today's video. Okay, so please do like and subscribe, and let's get started. Okay, now, like I said, that Africa's currency revolution, and this is really a currency revolution because this may for those who really don't understand the concept of payment system, the importance of the payment system and the trade and the economy like that, then for them this may be a very unimportant type news, right, or information. But it is this type of information or this type of action or this type of work that actually starts the transformation. Okay, otherwise Africa can go and keep using dollar and keep paying the bills, right, keep paying all the extra thing that come with it. So so that's why these things are very important, and this is nothing sort of revolution. Okay, so what exactly is PACM, right? What exactly is PACM? See, PACM is like I said earlier, the PACM means that Pan African Currency Market. Okay, PACM was launched in July 2025 by PAPAS. PAPAS, what is PAPAS? PAPAS is Pan African Payment and Settlement System. Okay, so payment and so Africa has a payment and settlement system that works across Africa. So all Africa. So in fact, especially the West African countries. So you have, what you have to know is this about Africa, that there are uh, quite a few, two or three or four blocks, just like BRICS is there, right? So that's how there are trading blocks in Africa too. Okay, so there is a West African trading block, then there is East African trading block, then you have whole entire Africa's trading block, like that, and they all have different names. And and then there is another thing, that with the West African block, okay, trading block, what uh, they have this payment system. It's called PAPAS. Okay, the PAPAS is Pan African Payment and Settlement System. Imagine that these countries have their own payment and settlement systems, right? So and so what PAPAS did, PAPAS had launched PACM. PACM is PACM, that is Pan African Currency Market. So what it does is this. So uh, this actually, what it does, it enables real-time peer-to-peer currency exchange between African countries. Okay, peer-to-peer currency exchange, meaning that there is no dollar or any other euro or any other currency involved, or any third-party mechanism involved to really determine the exchange rate. Okay, to determine the exchange rate. What does that mean? It means that Africa does not need third party currency to actually do the trade among each other and determine the currency conversion of their own countries. Like in my last video, like I talked about, right, that how actually the exchange rate works, and how gold actually helps in determining the exchange rates between the countries. Okay, so but here this doesn't even PACM. So PACM doesn't even involve gold. Imagine that. That's how neat and clean this mechanism is. Now, for those who actually don't know much about Africa, in fact, lots of Africans, in fact, take their own thing very lightly. Okay. Now, I'll give you a very good example. So, Kenya has a payment mechanism. Okay. Kenya has a payment mechanism just like India. India's UPI is called Unified Payment Interface. Now, UPI is the largest payment mechanism. Even it's bigger than Visa. Even okay, it surpassed Visa by 200 million transactions. Actually, okay, it's the largest that exists. Oh, yeah. And what's interesting is that lots of people think that this is very light. It's not light. I mean, something that surpasses Visa or Mastercard is not light. Okay, it matters. Okay, now here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. So why am all of a sudden I was talking about Kenya's payment system, and then all of a sudden I came back to India's payment system. So the reality is that this payment system UPI is actually inspired by the Kenyan payment system, which uses the QR code and whatnot. Okay, so that's how good and advanced actually some of the African systems are. But unfortunately, fortunately, because of lack of funding and all that, because of lack of proper fintech infrastructure, uh, they're not very popular, they're not very well talked about. But the reality is that Africans have been working on solving the problems that they are facing on day-to-day basis, like this. Okay, so let's get into more. So what are the highlights of this whole thing? So it's built on top of the existing purpose infrastructure, okay, which has been active since 2022. And this is connected to 17 countries, 14 national switches, and 150 plus banks. And this is backed by 16 African central banks and aligned with AFCFTA. Okay, we will talk about AFCFTA some other time. Okay, because it's an acronym, and this is another block for African Union, where they have Africa's 2064 goal, that what Africa should be by 2064. Now, PACM actually enables fully domestic settlement of cross-border trade transactions in local currencies with no Western intermediaries. Like I said, that it has totally eliminated the middleman. All right. Now, so the real question now, the next question is that how actually does PACM work? Because if I'm talking about PACM, then I should actually I might as well talk about how actually PACM works, right? So how PACM works is this: that let's say let's say you have uh, a Ghanaian firm wants to pay a Kenyan supplier, right? Like I said, currency is when we talk about currency, mostly it is traders, right? Now, what old system will do? I have explained this before that you convert, you take the Ghanaian currency to US dollar. You basically check the Ghanaian currency's exchange rate compared to US dollars, and then you check the Kenyan currency's exchange rate compared to US dollar. And then based on that, what you do? You determine the exchange rate of Kenyan versus Ghanaian currency. Okay. So Ghanaian currency is cedis, and I put cedid in there. That's my fault. It's cedis, CEDIS. So cedis to shilling, okay. And then what you do? You do the conversion, and you convert, and you get the Kenyan. There's a conversion, and you're set, right? And it takes 2 to 5 days. It costs because of the third party currency involved, and and then high forex fees, right? So all these things are involved into it. So because of that, what happens is that um, this is not very good system, right? Now, what PACM does is that Ghana. So PACM is more. Is what is this? It's a Pan African currency market. So what happens over there is that all the currencies are bid on it. So so traders basically bid on currencies. Okay. So what exactly they do? So let's say bid. Ghanaian bank bids to buy Kenyan currency using GHS on PACM's order book. Okay, they bid on it just like eBay, right? You bid on it, right? So you are bidding on it, then lots of other traders are bidding on it, and somebody will eventually. What's gonna happen? Somebody will eventually buy the currency, or they will say that okay, we are accepting the offer, right? So in normal bidding, what happens is that you bid, right? In normal bidding, when you bid, then you are bidding, you keep raising the price, and ultimately you keep raising it until there is nobody else higher, there is no higher bidder. But in this case, actually what happens is that if the body actually the organization accepts that okay, this is the price you're putting, let's what other traders are also putting, and then there comes a point where they accept that yeah, that's okay. Eh? Kenyan bank, let's say, so Ghanaian bank and Kenyan bank, there is a trading going on. Okay, they are bidding on this. Okay, this is our currency. This is how much it should be. So Kenyan bank says that okay, you are saying that you are gonna pay 10 cedis for our 1 shilling. So okay, I think we agree to it. Let's go do it. So what they do is this is how, if the Kenyan bank agrees, so those two banks basically they agree, and the payment is made, and then eventually settlement is done between the banks. Okay, so and all this clearing, all the settlement, and all this clearing happens within the African banking system within hours, not days, and then they don't have to even pay for anything extra. And like I said, see, there is a if for those who don't know, you there is a forex trading uh too. There are lots of forex trading websites. You can go on them, and you can go and bid on the currencies too. Okay, so this is how PACM in nutshell works. Okay, that let's say Ghanaian bank wants, the Ghanaian bank in nutshell goes and bids on the currency. Kenyan bank agrees to the offer, and Kenyan bank takes the offer that okay, yeah, let's do this. And once the final offer is decided, then settlement is made. Okay, clear cut. Now, so this is a very unique type of infrastructure actually. This is completely sovereign to Africa, and this happens in real time. It's not like okay, dollar, some there was some US dollar and the Ghanaian currency has some sort of comparison exchange rate determination done 2 or 3 weeks ago or something. No, it happens on the spot. Okay, on the spot. And on the spot you get the result, and on the spot you get the agreement. Not, it's not, data is not 24-hour old, or data is not a week old. Data is immediately. Okay, so that's why it's very important. So so the next question is that, is PACM really, is this really working? I mean, because having a system is one thing, and then having system to work actually is another thing, meaning that people using it is another thing, right? So so what's going on with this? So let's look at that real quick. Okay, so PACM is it already delivering the results? So if you look at the data, so in the pilot phase, basically 80 plus corporations traded using the platform. 80 plus, and then 12 African currencies were paired directly. Okay, all trades were settled locally and rapidly. So real cases include, like, Kenya Airways receives KES from Ghana-based partners through that. Okay, firms like Zepre and Access View Africa leveraging PACM for insurance and services. So now imagine that, right? Right? Africa is already saving billions annually in forex costs while unlocking trapped liquidity. So these things actually cause lots of problems. And when African countries get sanctioned, or say something happens, then nobody talks about it. And if these countries don't have dollar, right? If and there is a problem too, problem of not having a dollar or not having export. If there is a crisis like COVID happens, right? Then African countries are the ones that suffer the most. Why? Because export, there is no diversity in export. And uh, most of the countries are very poor in situation, so you're gonna see the problems, right? But when you have a mechanism like PACM, then you can trade in your own currency, that is trade in national currency, which means that they are actually going to promote more and more trade in national currencies. Now this is why I was saying that, considering Africa is already uh, preparing and getting ready for the trade in national currencies. Like what? 12 African currencies are involved into it, and 80 plus companies, 80 plus corporations are involved. 12 African currencies mean, I'm saying, which means that 12 African countries out of that, this whole thing pack, are there using PACM. Now, 12 African countries, if 1 second, let me see. Actually, it was 17 countries, right? If I recall. Yes, so connected to 17 countries, 14 national switches, and 150 plus banks are there. And 12 currencies are involved. Now, which means that there are some countries that are using the same currencies. Okay. So, so, so 17, 18 countries are involved out of 54. Now, when this number grows more and more and more, what's going to happen? You're promoting more trade in national currencies. And BRICS primary objective is what? BRICS always promotes one thing, that is trade in national currencies. So next year, this is why I said, I have said this in the past, in my past videos, that that chances are that India is going to add entire African Union, entire African Union as a whole, as a unit in BRICS next year. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. That's going to shock the world. Why? Because 54 countries will be part of Africa. I'm sorry, BRICS. So the question really is that, what is going to happen before that? Because see, uh, African Union had no problem in joining G20 as a unit, right? So the question is that, are they going to really hesitate in joining BRICS like that? Because see, here's the thing: lots of weak countries, they don't want to. be pit between, they don't want to get squashed, between global west and global east, their rivalries or whatnot. They want to get the best of both worlds, east and west. That's what they want to do. So it will be interesting to see, but chances are that it's a possibility, okay, that African Union may join BRICS at least as a partner group. And since they will join as a partner group, the chances are that their PACM they are already using, so that can become a benchmark for BRICS countries to use for themselves too. So, uh, so the real question now, another question, okay, another question is that is does BRICS really, can BRICS use it? Does BRICS use it, right? So, and then